Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know you probably can't hear me because I was on mute just getting ready. But it's 12:31 now, so I'd like to start. And then if we happen to end early, which I really hope that we do because I want to give you your time back, that would be awesome. So I'm going to mute everybody. I'm going to share my screen with just the agenda. Okay. So hi everybody. Can you mute your computer? Just so it doesn't kick back. Cool. So hi again, I'm Christina. Thank you so much for joining this call. I really appreciate it. It's scheduled for 60 minutes. Hopefully we can get out a little bit earlier than that. So just really quickly, I'm Christina from Arizona State University. We have several of our other team members on this call as well. Alejandra's here, Khadijah's here, Katie's here somewhere. All that I'm doing right now is just sharing the agenda for our call. I don't really think that it's going to take the entire 60 minutes. So just educator share out or shout out. Does anyone want to share anything that has been going on at school? If anyone wants to talk about Bill STEM Career Day, this is kind of your chance to share whatever it is that you guys have been doing. And Sarah Caffey, I know that we just went to Empower last week. If you want to share a little bit about that, you totally don't have to. If anyone wants to talk about anything going on, this is kind of your opportunity. So I'm going to mute myself. Anyone can share what's been going on.
So this is Sarah from Empower. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I just wanted to share. So we kind of got a late start this year with the whole program, but we just had Christina and her team out last Thursday to lead the students through like a 5-hour long day where they looked at like a local deli nearby and started to problem solve using design thinking, some issues that they could be facing. And it was really awesome. And the students, like at the end, were like, we wish we had more time. This felt like, you know, we should have had more time for this, which was just like a really nice thing to hear. And they're really excited to start the class like full swing next semester. So thank you guys so much for coming out.
And we'll make sure to share pictures of that visit. Their students created AR posters. We're also going to share those with you guys as well. Anyone else want to share what's been going on at school or where you are in the program?
This is Andrea. I'm at South Atlanta. Just wanted to give a shout out about Verizon Career Day. It was awesome. The students really enjoyed, I think we had 5 people to come out to the school and they really enjoyed themselves, and the individuals from Verizon were awesome. So thank you guys so much.
I know that we've been getting a couple pictures. I saw some things on Snapchat about STEM Career Day. So as you're collecting all of those photos and stories, if you want to forward any emails that you've gotten from your guest speakers. So at Dr. Horan in New York City, their guest speaker plans on coming back out again really soon to work with their students on coding. So as you're getting all of these pictures and emails and everything, please make sure to share them with us and we'll make sure to highlight you guys in our newsletter. But that, Andrea, it works out perfectly because the next part is to kind of talk about STEM Career Day. So does anyone want to talk about how STEM Career Day went at their school?
Sure, I'll chime in right now. It was Thursday. I wasn't able to be there, but our teachers ran a great program. We had two people from industry come in from Verizon come and speak with our students. We had 53 students participate, and one of our speakers was actually from the Maryville area. They actually went to our rival high school, so we had to forgive him for that. But we're looking to potentially get them back on our campus to do this again, to engage with our students some more.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Steve. And Steve is from Maryville in Phoenix. They're a second-year school. Would anyone else like to share how STEM Career Day went?
This is Steve Rogg at Gwendolyn Brooks in Chicago. And we had 3 visitors. We had panel-type discussion in our auditorium. And so the setting was really nice. The students responded very well. I got feedback from them today, and they did really appreciate a lot of good insights that came from the visitors. What I did learn from them is, it was a goal, and I had 4 students serve as hosts, so they helped keep the interaction going. They did a really nice job. But the students, we wanted it to be very conversational, and I think it mostly did that, but they said even more still. So the one thing we might have done differently is we had a reception at the end, so students got to speak one-on-one, but might have moved that up a little bit sooner, and also had little smaller breakout groups at some point, just to mix it up a bit. But the feedback was very, very positive.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Steve. And I like that you guys had a little mixer at the end. Super real world, right? Like when you think about like going to different events and then you get to meet the speakers at the end of the event. Yeah. Anyone else want to share how STEM Career Day went at their schools? Because I know people that are sitting on this call, I know that most of you did do STEM Career Day.
This is Mike Warner at Tempe High School. We had Career Day last Thursday. We had 3 Verizon people come out from the Chandler, Arizona area, one of which her husband had graduated from Tempe High School, and her father-in-law's brother-in-law or something like that was a former principal at Tempe High School. So there was a lot of connection there. So we had a good time. We had about 240 students participate in the lecture hall with the 3 individuals, and they all had a chance to interact.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Mike. Anyone else? Last call, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so next thing is cyber grants. The majority of our schools.
Hi, Christina.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is Latanya. How are you? So on behalf of Verizon, we just want to thank all of the schools for participating. Again, just to reiterate a lot of what has already been said, the employees are giving phenomenal feedback. They were so impressed with the students and the questions that were coming from the students. They were happy to be able to come out and engage. This is not something they get paid for, it's volunteer. And just to see how many employees wanted to be out in the schools and speaking to students and be on the ground, it was amazing. It was the first time that Verizon has ever done something like this. Over 300 employees were in over about 90 of our schools across the nation. And so again, thank you to the schools, because we know that it is, it's not easy to kind of take a half of a day, if you will, or even a couple of hours to move away from what you've already planned in terms of a curriculum. But thank you again. And if you don't mind, Christina, I'd like to hear from as many schools as possible, but specifically, we didn't really hear about Vegas, which is one of your newer schools, one of your newer cohorts. So a school from Vegas or even out of the Atlanta area, it would be helpful, because Michelle's just trying to gauge what is happening in those particular areas, if possible. You're still on mute.
Yeah, so Latanya, I don't know if you heard Andrea speak earlier. She's from South Atlanta High School.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But does anyone from Vegas want to share?
This is Richard from ATech in Vegas. I wasn't able to go because I actually had a guest speaker for my architecture classes, but we have conference calls every Monday morning, and the feedback was positive. Sherry Stidham's our lead, and she was actually in Nashville, and she arranged everything. But our 2 computer science teachers brought, I think, probably about 60 kids down, and it was a positive experience for them.
Thanks for sharing.
Perfect, thank you.
So next up is cyber grants, and since Latanya, you're already unmuted, if you just want to give an update on that as well.
Sure. So very happy to say that 98% of our schools that have applied thus far have either gone through the cyber grants process and or received their checks. There are a couple one more batch of checks that are scheduled to go out before the end of this week that were already approved. And actually, there are only 3 schools that we are looking to try to help to get through the process. And so if I don't want to be out of line, but if it's possible, I'd like to just ask those schools while we're on the line, because we are beyond due date at this point. So if the Young Women's Leadership School of Astoria, if Urban Science Academy, as well as, what is the other school, Christina? Empower Collegiate Academy. If either of the 3 of you are on the line and can ask specific questions so that we can help or support you, or you can call me directly today, that would be greatly appreciated, as we are trying to make sure you do not miss the closing of our system, which is taking place this week. Thank you.
Latanya, can you put your phone number into the chat, and then we'll have those schools reach out to you directly today?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. So with that, that's the Cyber Grants update. If you haven't gotten your check yet, but you know that you're approved, please also reach out. Latanya's putting her phone number into the chat right now, and so if our schools could just reach out to her directly today. Technology update, that's over to Katie. So Katie, if you'll share what's going on with technology, because I know our schools are looking forward to implementing and using more of the technology.
Sure. So hello, everyone. For the technology, I know that everyone's really eager and excited to get your tech pieces and your tools for your VR station. We are still working on the order, and the reason behind that is it's an incredibly large order, and so within our own process here, we get competitive bids, and then based upon those, we order the supplies and technology and distribute them. So just for transparency, I wanted to let you know that that is our process and that it does take a little bit of time, but we will be able to get you your technology by the end of January. And we've timed it in a way too where you won't need access to that VR equipment prior. But the end of January is when you will get technology, and hopefully sooner, but that's our commitment at the latest, that we would get it by the end of January 2018. We're working as hard as we can on it and doing everything in our power to expedite the process. Some of it, though, is just out of our hands, since we have to follow along with just the process and bureaucracy, which I know you all understand as well with districts and schools. So thank you for your patience. We're really excited, and we'll get it to you as soon as we can. And if you have any direct questions or concerns, just reach out, and then folks will direct you to me, or we'll get you an answer.
Do you have any pressing questions that you want to ask the group so we can kind of address? If not, you can reach out to Khadija or Alejandro, and they can direct your questions to us as well. Just as a quick reminder, the schools that are receiving technology kits are schools that are going into that are in their first year. If you are a second-year school or a third or fourth-year school, you're welcome to use grant funding to purchase those additional items. But the schools that are receiving additional technology, including like the 360 camera and like the Samsung phones, are schools that are in their first year.
Hey, Christina?
Yep, what's up, Glenn?
Is there a way, could you send us the product list or whatever that you're sending out?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll compile that list. So we already have it. We've been making a couple changes, but we finally have our finalized list, and we will definitely send that to everybody. So that if you want to use grant funding to start purchasing those items ahead of time, if you are a first-year school, or if you are a second-year school and you want to buy those things, you can definitely do that. Anyone else? Okay. So now we're going to talk about spring 2018. And so coming up in January, you'll have a mid-year educator survey to complete. And that'll be in January, and it's just educators that are doing the program, not students. So students only do a pre-survey and a post-survey at the end of the year. Mid-year survey is so that we can kind of get like a check on how things are going, how far you are in the program, kind of like a state of the ville or like a state of the union address. But it's a really quick, fast survey, and it's going to ask you certain things like what phase of the design thinking process that you're in, how many small business partners you've secured, just a description on some of those small business partners as well. And that's in part because oftentimes, as you guys know, one of our team members will reach out to you and ask for information about the work that you guys are doing. And it takes a couple of days to compile that. And that's just so we're doing a mid-year survey and getting this information so that we have information that we can reference back, because sometimes the Verizon Foundation is going to put out like a press release or they're putting out marketing materials and they need something really, really quickly. And then that way we don't have to bug you about compiling this information all together. We also want to know like who you're working with. And that's because we want to see like kind of like what kind of trends exist in our different cities and around our different schools. So if many people are working with like nonprofits, like we'd like to know that information, or if people are really doing a lot more like service stuff, like we'd like to know that information. So that'll come out in January. And if you could complete that survey as soon as possible. But again, that one's only for educators. It's much shorter than the pre-survey that you did at the beginning of the year. In January as well, there's going to be individual school calls, kind of like what we did with your onboarding calls this year at the beginning of the year. And that's going to include ASU, the Verizon Foundation, and then individual schools. And that's because, again, we want to know how things are going on at your school. We want to get updates. We want to know how we can best support you. We also want to talk about like what year 2 or year 3 or year 4 or year 5 will look like in the future. And kind of create a plan for what the second semester will look like in 2018. And then also in January 2018 is the start of our site visits. So some of the site visits that are coming up very soon in January are Boston. I believe it's like the second week in January. And then DC, Atlanta, they're all coming up very quickly in January and February and March and April. And then our final showcases start at the end of March. So the first one is March 30th for Phoenix. And then the rest of the school year is all final showcases. And we want to make sure that your students are prepared. So please keep an eye out. If you didn't already receive calendar invites from Khadijah and Alejandro, please reach out to them because they have the specific days when our team will be coming to your school. And then for our site visit structure, we can also talk about that as it gets closer. But for most of our regions, we've blocked off 2 days to be at each school, and they're consecutive. So, like, I think, what is it? Like, there's you guys are in the room with me. What's a back-to-back? Oh, like Bowen's going to be 2 days in a row, right?
Bowen is 1 day.
What's one? Like South Atlanta or West Leiden is like 1 day, and then the following day is West Leiden again. And so we can kind of do like what Sarah talked about, where we did like a full day workshop. We can help you guest teach. We can co-teach. We can just do observations. Regardless, during one of those 2 days, we will require a meeting with the lead administrator and then the school team members that are part of the VIL program. Because we don't often get to see you in person. So during one of those 2 days, we will need to have an all-VIL meeting. And that can be 30 to 45 minutes just to get updates about everyone. And that's also going to guide the Saturday PD that will be during those site visits. So just as a reminder, again, there are Saturday PDs that are scheduled throughout the spring semester. It's one Saturday for each region. Alejandro and Khadijah have also already sent out those calendar invites. So if you didn't get them, please again, reach out to them. That's site visits. During your Saturday PD, you'll get a little bit of design thinking, a little bit of the entrepreneurship education, and then a little bit of technology, kind of like what we have done in the past with Institute. It goes from about 9 to 3 on the Saturday in which we're in town. And it's really important that you continue to communicate with Alejandro and Khadijah, because that information will let us know how we can craft our agenda and make sure that it's responsive to your needs. Any questions on spring 2018? Okay, so no questions so far. And again, you can always reach out. Next up is monthly regional call. And so I'm going to let Alejandro and Khadijah talk to you about that.
Yeah.
This is off.
Hi everyone. Again, it's Khadijah Crosby. So for our regional calls, They are about an hour, but hopefully they will not take an hour. On our calls, we're going to go over site visits. We're also going to dive deeper into businesses. We will also be going over just like some updates of things that are going on with your schools, and any shout outs or anything like that, and also provide a space where you all as a region can talk about what the build program is like for you all, as well as talk about some problems or anything that you all may be having, and some action steps and solutions to whatever issues that you all are facing, as well as going over Blackboard. So if you haven't created your ASU Right ID, Alejandro is going to walk you through that step. And we're also going to go over where you can access certain resources for Blackboard and how to use Blackboard so everyone is familiar with that as well. Any questions about the call? Okay. Was that a question? Okay. Yes. Yes.
Will you meet your okay. Okay. So if you guys have any questions about regional calls, again, it's an opportunity to kind of dive deeper. So I recognize that it's tough to get coverage in the middle of the school day, 2 days during the same week, and that's something that we're working on to schedule better. And so as Alejandro and Khadijah continue to do these calls, they're going to work with you guys to figure out really what is the best time based on your schedules. And so it's really important, again, that you guys communicate, let them know if something doesn't work for you, because we will try our best to accommodate. And then regional calls are meant to dive deeper into what's going on in each region. So this monthly call that we do on the third Monday of every single month is just so that the Verizon Foundation and ASU can kind of give you more information about what's going on across the program, across the United States. It's also an opportunity for all of you guys to see each other and continue collaborating across the United States. But the regional ones are meant for people to check in with each other in your specific cities. And that way also Alejandro and Khadijah can figure out how to best support you and what you're doing at your schools in your cities. And with that, Verizon Foundation updates. Latanya, do you have anything from the foundation that we need to update anybody about?
Sure, so I don't have any updates today, Christina, but thank you.
Cool. So action items. We only have 2 more things on our agenda. I'm so excited. I'm going to give you back so much of your time today. So in terms of action items, if you haven't done your educator pre-survey yet, you are very, very, very behind. Please do it like today, right now. Student surveys. So don't forget that we are looking for about 100 to 150 students to complete the pre-survey for students. Some of our schools are at about like 61 or like 75 or 103. Please ensure that you guys are reaching 100 to 150 students with your student pre-survey, because that helps. There are certain metrics that the Verizon Foundation measures success by, and that's also that includes student reach. So if you haven't made it to 100 to 150, please get your students on this survey. Alejandro and Khadijah cannot tell you specifically which students have done the survey, but we can give you the numbers. So that way you'll know if you have like 83 students. We can't tell you who they are and what their names are, but we can at least tell you like this many students have said that Mr. Rubin is their teacher. Any other action items? Please reach out. Khadijah and Alejandro have their regional calls scheduled for this week. So please make sure to join for those calls. If you have an issue with that time or can't make it, please let them know. Don't just like not show up. And then with that, we have open, like kind of like an open forum. Does anyone have any questions that we can answer? If you just want to unmute yourselves and ask any questions about anything that's going on.
Hi. I just have a quick question on the final showcase. Like if there's any more details on that for the one in New York.
So not yet, but Latanya's working this year. She's been such an awesome addition to the Verizon Foundation team. She's working with Global Real Estate to secure a space. So that way, hopefully this year we don't have to necessarily do it in waves and we can have more of our students all together at once. We do have the date for the final showcase in New York. I think it might be May 17th.
Yeah, I think there was an email sent out with that information.
Yeah.
Is it going to be, because I didn't go to the training, so is it going to be like where the students pitch their app, or they're going to pitch their AR business card?
It's a good question. So last year we didn't have the opportunity to do this in New York, but in our other regions, we did have like a gallery walk section, and then our students pitch. And so with someone from a different region, whether it's Chicago, Phoenix, Baton Rouge, or Boston, like to share about how the gallery walk went with the pitches, because I know I've done a lot of talking. I would really like for someone else from a different region who was part of the showcases from last year to share how the structure.
Christina?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Sandy. I have a question. I'm trying to find the worksheets that go with the lessons for the book, for the manual, and I can't seem to find them. Where are they located?
So they're on Blackboard. If they're not on Blackboard, reach out to us. We'll send them directly to you. So we're still working through the things with Blackboard as well. We have all of our lessons. We have all of our worksheets. It's, as you know, sometimes things get lost when you're uploading a lot of information. So please just reach out directly. We're making sure to go back onto Blackboard and double check everything. But I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of information across different people. So just reach out.
Okay, thank you.
Back to the final showcase question. I know, Marcus, you're in a meeting right now, so you probably can't describe it. Sean Zanetta.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be an email sent out with all that information. I was just wondering so I could prepare my students and make sure we make the correct product that Verizon is looking for.
Right. So, Christina, I wasn't involved last year, but I can just give you some heads up in terms of what we're looking for this year. So this year, the goal is to really focus more so on the emerging technologies. And so it would be the AR platforms that they're pitching this year that students are working on, which I think that's what your original question was, yes?
So no matter what, during the gallery walk portion, all of our students are going to present augmented reality business cards. And for those of our teachers that did not come to Institute, especially our second years, we're going to go over how to do that when we come and visit. And when it comes to pitching, the solutions in some way should be connected to emerging technology. So it could be using additional augmented reality, it could be involving or using like virtual reality. But again, for second year schools, things look a little bit different just because we didn't want you to like drop everything that you had done the first year and say like no more apps, no more websites. But regardless, every single student team will need to have an augmented reality business card for their small business partner. So that's a 100% every single person, no matter what. When it comes to pitching the solution, that can vary a little bit, just because, like, for example, like Frank's Deli, who we worked with here in Phoenix last week, they don't have an Instagram, they don't have a Facebook. Their like marketing materials don't even like align with each other. They have all different names. So it's like Frank's Deli, it's Frank's Delicatessen, it's like Frank's New York Deli. So the students came up with different solutions that were connected to that, but they also made an augmented reality poster that went along with their solution. Any other questions that you guys have?
Christina, this is Akia from DC. Do you mind also sending the worksheets and everything to everyone? Because I don't have access on Blackboard. I have access to Blackboard, but I don't see any documents uploaded on my Blackboard.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, I think what'll end up happening then, so thank you for asking for that. I'll just send it in like a big email, kind of like how we've been doing like the weekly newsletter, and then everyone can just click on the link and access it. So that's a great suggestion.
Awesome.
Thank you for reaching out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else with any questions or ideas?
Heads up to the New York crew. It's April 21st is a showcase.
Thank you for correcting me.
And curious, where is everybody at as far as the curriculum goes?
What if we do like a raise of hand? Raise your hand if you have secured small business partners.
DC, Zakia, we're in pretty good shape over here.
Can you do a little bit of describing?
Oh, so we have about 5 right now, and we still have a little more coming in. So the teachers and I, like, we're doing the things a little bit differently, only because our school is a little bit smaller. But we're meeting with one of the teachers. We have about 4 or 5 teachers who are teaching the courses within their classroom. So we're meeting with the small business. First I called, gave them a call, and then I'm meeting with them since I'm the administrator who's kind of spearheading the opportunity. So I'm meeting with the small business with the teacher, and we're sitting down to see if this is something that they'll be interested in. We also brought our binder with us too, and have them look at the curriculum, and then we're going to have them come into the school to speak to the students. But yeah, so that's where we are. That's where we are right now. So we have about 5 businesses.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share where you're at?
This is, can you hear me? Yeah. So this is Tony in Chicago. So we have 4 businesses that are lined up right now. One is a court reporting company. We have one of our townships. We have a Going for Greatness, which is a physical rehabilitation company. And then we have Lake Book Manufacturing, which is obviously a book manufacturer right outside of Chicago. So at this point, we've met with 3 of the 4 companies face to face just to explain the opportunity and make sure they were committed. I'm meeting with the 4th this week. And then after that, we're going to schedule a meeting in early January when we start our 2nd semester to have those companies come out and meet our students and agree on a problem or a solution that they're going to both work on. That's kind of where we're at right now.
Thanks for sharing, Tony. Anyone else want to share? You will also have the opportunity to share in your mini regional calls this week. Khadija and Alejandro sent you a December email. If you did not receive that or haven't read it yet, please read it before your calls. This calls start tomorrow. So New York is tomorrow, Chicago is tomorrow. What's Wednesday?
Boston is Wednesday.
Wednesday is Boston.
Thursday is DC.
Thursday is DC and LA, and LA is Friday. Everything else is Wednesday. So again, if you can't make it, please let them know and don't just not show up, because we're using that information to report back on everything and everyone. But does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask or anything they want to share? Yeah, Steve, go ahead and share.
So one of the things I want to share is something positive, kind of like what happened to our seniors last year when they participated in the program year 1. So I try to pull up this picture here with these gals. They won 2nd place at the regional in Phoenix, and they're now pursuing they're freshmen at the University of Arizona, pursuing a career in business administration. So we're going to be keeping track on their progress and their success, because that's something that we can also utilize here on our campus and throughout, I think, this whole program to see, what they end up doing with this knowledge into the futures.
Thanks for sharing, Steve. We can also send you their pitch too. We recorded all of our student pitches last year, and you can see what they proposed. But does anyone else want to share? Katie, do you have something to share?
A shout out and thank you to everyone for joining on Monday. We appreciate your time as always.
Sorry, Katie. Okay. Well, with that, thank you so much for giving us so much of your time today. I'm super excited to give you back 25 minutes of your day. But if that's it, we just really appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining us today. Please make sure, again, reach out if you cannot make your regional call. Let Khadija and Alejandro know. Thank you so much to everybody that shared. Thank you for being present. And we're just really excited to hear more about what you guys are doing. So have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.